Here are 20 interview questions related to GitHub Actions, along with answers. These cover both basic and advanced topics, and where appropriate, examples of code are provided. 1. What is GitHub Actions? Answer: GitHub Actions is a CI/CD, continuous integration/continuous deployment, platform that enables automation of software workflows directly from your GitHub repository. It allows you to build, test, and deploy your code right from GitHub, using YAML files to define the automation processes. 2. What are the key components of a GitHub Actions workflow? Answer: the key components of a GitHub Actions workflow are: workflow, a YAML file that defines a series of jobs to be executed. Workflows are triggered by events. Job, a set of steps that run in the same runner. Jobs can run sequentially or in parallel. Step, a single task within a job, such as running a script or installing dependencies. Runner, the environment, machine, where the jobs are executed. Event, triggers that start the workflow, such as a push to a repository or the creation of a pull request. 3. How do you trigger a GitHub Actions workflow? Answer: workflows are triggered by events, which can be defined in the on key in the workflow file. Examples of triggers include YAML on, push, branches, main pull_request, schedule, cron, 00 *****. This example triggers the workflow on a push to the main branch, on pull requests, or on a daily schedule. 4. What is a self-hosted runner in GitHub Actions? Answer: a self-hosted runner is a custom machine that you manage to run jobs from GitHub Actions. Unlike GitHub-hosted runners, which are provided by GitHub, self-hosted runners give you more control over the environment, including the software and hardware specifications. 5. How do you define environment variables in a GitHub Actions workflow? Answer: you can define environment variables at the workflow, job, or step level using the env key, YAML env, node_env, production jobs, build, runs on, Ubuntu latest steps, name, print node env run, echo $node_env6. Explain the use of matrix builds in GitHub Actions. Answer: matrix builds allow you to run jobs in parallel across multiple configurations, such as different versions of a language or different operating systems. Example: YAML jobs, test, runs on, Ubuntu latest strategy, matrix, node version, 10, 12, 14, steps, uses, actions/checkout at v2, name, setup node.js uses, actions/setup node at v2 with, node version, $, node version, run, npm install, run, npm test. This will run the tests on node.js versions 10, 12, and 14 in parallel. 7. How can you cache dependencies in GitHub Actions? Answer: you can cache dependencies using the actions/cache action. For example, YAML steps, uses, actions/cache at v2 with, path, /.npm key, $runner.os, a node $, hashfiles, packagelock.json, restore keys, $runner.os, a node, run, npm install. This caches the /.npm folder based on the packagelock.json hash, improving build times. 8. What are secrets in GitHub Actions and how do you use them? Answer: secrets are encrypted environment variables stored in GitHub that you can use in your workflows for sensitive data like API keys or passwords. They are referenced in workflows like this: YAML steps, name, checkout code uses, actions/checkout at v2, name, deploy to production run, deploy-script.shenv, API_key, $secrets.api_key, A9. How can you reuse workflows in GitHub Actions? Answer: you can reuse workflows by calling them from other workflows using the uses keyword, referencing the workflow file path, YAML jobs, call workflow, uses, /.github/workflows/deploy.yml. This allows you to modularize your workflows and maintain dry, don't repeat yourself, principles. 10. What is the jobs, job_id.needs keyword in GitHub Actions? Answer: the needs keyword specifies dependencies between jobs, ensuring that a job only runs after the specified jobs have completed. Example: YAML jobs, build, runs on, Ubuntu latest steps, run, npm build test, runs on, Ubuntu latest needs, build steps, run, npm test. Here, the test job will only run after the build job has successfully completed. 11. How do you handle conditional steps in a GitHub Actions workflow? Answer: you can use the if keyword to run steps conditionally based on certain conditions. Example: YAML steps, name, run tests on main branch if, github.ref == ref/head/main run, npm test. This step will only execute if the workflow is running on the main branch. 12. What is the purpose of the jobs, job_id.runsOn key in a GitHub Actions workflow? Answer: the runsOn key specifies the type of runner, environment, that the job will run on. Common values include Ubuntu latest, macOS latest, and Windows latest. Example: YAML jobs, build, runs on, Ubuntu latest steps, run, npm build 13. How can you pass data between jobs in a GitHub Actions workflow? Answer: you can pass data between jobs using artifacts or outputs. Example using artifacts: YAML jobs, build, runs on, Ubuntu latest steps, run, echo, build output.txt, uses, actions/upload artifact at v2 with, name, build output path, output.txt test, runs on, Ubuntu latest needs, build steps, uses, actions/download artifact at v2 with, name, build output, run, cat. Output.txt 14. How do you manage complex workflows with multiple jobs in GitHub Actions? Answer: for complex workflows with multiple jobs, you can use needs to define dependencies, break down the workflow into reusable components, and modularize the workflow using YAML anchors or reusable workflows. This helps manage complexity by making the workflow more organized and maintainable. 15. Explain how to deploy a node.js application to AWS using GitHub Actions. Answer: here's a basic workflow to deploy a node.js application to AWS Elastic Beanstalk. YAML name, deploy to AWS on, push, branches, main jobs, deploy, runs on, Ubuntu latest steps, name, checkout code uses, actions/checkout at v2, name, setup node. JS uses, actions/setup node at v2 with, node version, 14, name, install dependencies run, npm install, name, deploy to AWS run, zip, art deploy.zip. AWS Elastic Beanstalk Update Environment, application name $secrets.aws_app_name, environment name $secrets.aws_env_name, a version label $github.sha, a description, deployed via GitHub Actions, DNV, AWS_access_key_ID, $secrets.aws_access_key_ID, AWS_secret_access_key, $secrets.aws_secret_access_key, AWS_region, $secrets.aws_region, 16. What is a GitHub Action Marketplace, and how do you use it? Answer: the GitHub Actions Marketplace is a repository of reusable actions created by the community or GitHub itself. You can search for actions to include in your workflows. Example: YAML steps, name, setup JDK 11 uses, action/setup Java at v2 with Java version 11. This action sets up JDK 11 in your workflow. 17. How can you use GitHub Actions to create a custom Docker image? Answer: you can use GitHub Actions to build and push a Docker image to Docker Hub. YAML name, build and push Docker image on, push, branches, main jobs, build, runs on, Ubuntu latest steps, uses, actions/checkout at v2, name, build Docker image run, Docker build, tmyapp. Name, log into Docker Hub run, echo, $secrets.docker_password, Docker login, $secrets.docker_username, password stin, name, push Docker image run, Docker push myapp 18. How do you create reusable actions in GitHub Actions? Answer: reusable actions are custom actions you create to encapsulate functionality that can be reused across different workflows. You define them in their own repository with a action.yml file, YAML name, my custom action description, a reusable custom action, inputs, my input, description, an input for the action required, true runs, using, Docker image, Docker file. You can then use this action in your workflows, YAML uses, user/repo at v1 with, my input, value, 19. Explain the concept of contexts in GitHub Actions. Answer: contexts are a set of predefined variables that GitHub Actions provides, which you can use in your workflows. Common contexts include, GitHub, information about the workflow run and repository. Runner, information about the runner environment. Secrets, access to your repository secrets. Example: YAML steps, run, echo, this job is running on $runner.os, in the $github.ref branch 20. What are artifacts in GitHub Actions and how do you use them? Answer: artifacts are files created during a workflow run that you want to store for later use. They are commonly used to pass data between jobs or to save build outputs. Example: YAML steps, name, upload build artifact uses, action/upload artifact at v2 with, name, build output path, dst/name, download build artifact uses, action/download artifact at v2 with, name, build output. These questions and answers should give you a good understanding of GitHub Actions, covering basic to advanced concepts, and providing practical examples where necessary.